Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, the Black Business Council says the power crisis forces the country to take extraordinary steps. It's welcomed the latest development in the ANC because at its own energy indaba, the council recommended the declaration of a state of disaster on the electricity supply to allow for faster turnaround of key actions. BBC CEO Kganki Matabane joins me to discuss the energy crisis a bit further. Mr. Matabane, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Indeed, you were among those calling for the state of disaster, and it seems as though it might happen. But I'm sure you would have seen there's mixed views on the matter since yesterday, with some experts saying this legislative instrument was not intended for such a man-made crisis, if you will. What are your views on that?
Good morning, Fundo and the eNCA viewers. And we are basically happy, but obviously it's not the time to be happy because of load shedding. But we're happy that the state of disaster matter is gaining momentum, and we think it makes sense because we're in a disaster, we're in a crisis. When you're in a crisis, you must behave and take actions that will take you out of the disaster and take you out of the of this. Whether this issue is man-made or not man-made, I think we're here where we are moving between stage 5 and stage 6, and that is destroying the economy, that is destroying livelihoods. Companies are still recovering from COVID, but they are here. But I think what we want to caution and what we want to emphasize, this must not be used as a license to loot. Remember, during COVID, the state of the disaster was used to loot the state coffers and take money out of the system. We want that, we were warning that that must not happen, and the Auditor General must be involved at the beginning of procurement processes. Because if the Auditor General only comes at the end, the deed will have been done, the corruption will have happened. So we need to put measures in place at the beginning to make sure that corruption does not happen. We focus everything and every energy that we have as a country to stop load shedding, because that's the only way where we can make sure that the economy grows. And we've mentioned many times that the only way of stopping load shedding is to fix ESCOM and also maybe buy electricity from neighboring countries or from other countries. But that electricity must be from a technology that will make sure that the electricity is available every day and anytime you want it. Hence, today it's raining. If you were buying solar from somewhere, it won't be available. Solar energy won't be available. Wind won't be available. So we're saying let's buy what is called base load energy, what is called dispatchable energy that we can use as and when you want to use it. But ESCOM gives us that dispatchable energy. So it's important that we must put the state of disaster on ESCOM with the sole purpose of making sure that all the power stations, all the units at ESCOM work. So the state of the disaster will assist us. For example, if we need a certain part to be able to maintain or repair one of the units or one of the power stations, we can get it much quicker rather than following the normal procurement process that may take 2 years to come to fruition.
So in this instance, it's going to possibly see the bypassing of localization, that requirement that you guys generally advocate for. In this instance, you're saying we're in crisis, good and well, we can get from the original manufacturer, and even if those parts need to be serviced, let's bring them in and they come and service the particular parts.
Yes, but remember, the state of the disaster is not going to be, it's not supposed to be there forever. It's supposed to be there for a period. If we say this is for 6 months, let it be for 6 months and make sure that in that 6 months we resolve the issues that we need to resolve, make sure that everyone is for the electricity and the country can move on and the economy can prosper. But it does not mean, for example, we need to suspend other legislation. So there's a clear legislation on the black economic empowerment that should not be suspended, because remember, other institutions tried to suspend it during COVID, and we fought that and successfully so, because it does not mean you are suspending the constitution. And the Black Economic Empowerment is part of the constitution, is part of section 217 of the constitution, so it cannot be suspended. But the state of the nation, the state of disaster will assist that in moving much, much faster than what will happen under normal circumstances.
But some have argued that those localization requirements are the ones that slow down the process over so often.
No, it's not true. You know, when people don't know how to do their job, they always blame other factors, and we found that there's more than 700 state-owned enterprises in South Africa that are doing. Some of them are doing good things, and they are working within the very same legislation, and then within the same localization and industrialization, because that is aimed at making sure that we create jobs locally. So for example, the original equipment manufacturers, when they come here, they must do skills transfer at Eskom.
Yeah. But you talk about 6 months. I just want to take you back to the duration. You're saying that it shouldn't be something that is just extended in perpetuity. But realistically, do you think that the year we are hearing of, that perhaps in a year we would have ridded ourselves of load shedding, is actually achievable?
Remember the plan that was presented by Eskom. It talks about improving from stage 6 to stage 5 to stage 4 to stage 2. So it does not necessarily mean that the state of disaster must be there even when we are on stage 2. If we put a plan in place, we implement the plan vigorously, there will be incremental improvement. And we shouldn't wait until we are on stage 0 that then we stop the state of disaster. It must serve a purpose to fast track certain things, but once those things are fast tracked, it must come to an end, because if it continues, people are going to abuse it and start doing other things that are not supposed to be part of the plan.
Okay, so you're saying it will not necessarily rid us of load shedding, but at the very least reduce the stages. Perhaps to where? By stage 4, we want to do away. Once we get to stage 2, then we can be out of the state of disaster.
Yeah, I think up to stage 2, because once you get to stage 2 and we've done proper maintenance, done by proper professional, done by reputable companies, we should easily then go to stage 0. And I think one of the things that has not been happening is to hold the original equipment manufacturers to account, so that if they've done maintenance, like when you do a maintenance on your car, it has to last you for a certain period. You can't do maintenance today, in 3 months' time we do a maintenance of the same power station. It can't be that way. It's mainly because we're not holding accountable the people who are fixing the power station. So as part of the state of disaster, we need to allow Eskom management and Eskom board to hold people accountable, so that we do not have a recurrence of the same breakdowns and all the time. Hence, we need to give them sufficient time to be able to do what they're supposed to do.
Now, another conversation that has started is around Kapowership, that perhaps the state of disaster would allow for Eskom to now secure the energy from Kapowership. Is that something that you would support?
Yes, as long as the Kapowership will supply what we call dispatchable energy, that is different from energy that depends on other factors like the weather. So if they are supplying base load energy, let's get it, because the cost of that electricity, for example, from Kapowership or any other person or any other company, is much smaller than the loss that the country is going through from an economic point of view. So if the economy is losing more than 1 billion in a month, and the cost of car power ship is 100 million per month. I think and then when we take the multiplier effects of the loss in the
But
economy,
we do know that power ship was coming slightly more pricier. So it was still pricey nevertheless. But you're still saying in comparison to how much we're losing, it would still be better.
Yes, because at the moment we're almost at a standstill and we're at the crisis level. So when you do the calculations of what we are losing as a country and what the economy is losing from a economic growth point of view, and we're losing jobs, companies are closing down, we're losing taxes from that. I think that the costs won't be comparable. It will be very, very, very small compared that to what the country is losing at the moment.
All right. Mr. Matabane, thank you very much for your time as always. That was Kganki Matabane, CEO of the Black Business Council.